What if you could slide into 1,000 different worlds where it's the same year and you're the same person, but everything else is different? And what if you can't find your way home? What's up, y'all? We're back again, but this time we're back asleep. I don't know. Welcome to the Black History Extravaganza. This is
Black History 2025.
Get with it or die trying.
Or die trying.
Or die trying, maybe? I don't know. Yeah, this is Stumbling Through the Multiverse. We're coming back at you again with a very special episode. This would be, what is this, like 12? Episode 12?
Yeah. I think for us it's like 12.
Yeah, so keep that legacy number in, y'all. I am your co-host Rhayne Coleman, the CarefreeBlackNerd. Excited to be back again, and I have with me again the orchestrator of this, the Wiz of Oz of this ride. What's up, Robert?
What's going on, man? We the funny thing is we just watched Wicked last weekend.
Okay.
Yeah, that was crazy. It was crazy. But yeah, happy to be here. Happy to be celebrating Black History Month with talking about sliders.
Yes.
And throwing all this DEI just like all over this episode. DEI and woke have become 4-letter curse words. And it's just like, how? How is that a thing? Like these ignorant people who didn't even know what woke was before. Anyways, but that's a rant for another day.
You ain't wrong. Okay, y'all. We're effectively running through the blackness. Coming off of the what is it? The album of the year. We're coming off the song of the year. We're coming off the Super Bowl, the pop culture Black excellence, and we're sliding right into this is Earth. I don't know. Earth BHM. Oh man. So I'm gonna kick it to you, Robert, because the orchestrator of this thing. You take it away.
Well, it was one of those things where so when we were growing up, there's a lot of sci-fi, like syndicated sci-fi on TV. Mm-hmm. And Sliders was a network TV show, but we were surrounded by stuff like Buffy, Xena. I'm not going to mention the other one because he's a raging racist right now.
Fuck him.
We had Charmed, we had Mantis, we had a lot of like Sequest, Star Trek Deep Space Nine, Star Trek Next Generation,
Nightman.
Yeah, there you go. Oh God. Yes. If you want to do that one, because it's been a minute. Was it Cleopatra something 2025?
Yes. Oh God, I know what you're talking. Yes.
Yeah. But all that to say, when you saw Black people in these shows, we were always kind of like either kind of a part of a team or like sidekicks, or we had bit roles or whatever, because like even with Buffy you had Kendra, and then you had like Mr. Trick, and then there were other characters. So it's cool to see Rembrandt in a lead role, in Sliders, but then also we wanted to show some love for other Black characters that appear throughout the series. That's been one of our topics of discussion that in some episodes it felt like they couldn't find no Black people in Vancouver. So the ones that they did find, we wanted to show some love, because the actors and actresses did really good jobs with the material that they were given, some more so than others. But we just wanted to celebrate the brothers and sisters who appeared in this science fiction show, and show that we had some Black excellence in these in this science fiction show that we love. So
Yes, indeed. So, our list, we have a sizable list. I think with everything Robert said, and with the whole first season behind us, I think this is a pretty decent size list for what was given. So I'm gonna let you kick off with the order, so we can go. Cool. Go by however you want it, man.
Well, we're gonna start off. We're gonna save the main brother for last. So, who we'll start off with is a character named Wilkins, and he was in the pilot episode, the second part, pilot part 2, and he was played by Roger Cross.
Roger Cross for Ed Dunleavy. Who are you?
Did I ask you the same thing?
Ed Dunleavy, Serena's boyfriend. And what are you doing in my robe?
Boyfriend? She didn't tell me she had a boyfriend.
I bet there's a lot she didn't tell you.
The thing that I mentioned when we watched his episode is that Roger Cross is one of the Black actors who just like went to Canada and stayed put. Like he just stayed up there, and because you could see this brother in like all of these like different science fiction shows, and he's a talented actor. So seeing a young Roger Cross was really cool. But he played Wilkins was, I think maybe he was like a leader in the insurrection on the Soviet Union run America, and worked with worked with the Sliders to free that world's version of Wade, who was a general, and had kind of a special moment with like Earth Prime Wade, and and it was cool. Like it was cool seeing him interact with the team, react to this idea of America that wasn't run by the Soviets, and you got some like exposition dumping from him, but it never seemed forced. So it was cool to see a brother in the lead role, in the lead role, like in this world, in the second episode. So that is Wilkins. Like, so what were your thoughts about Wilkins when you first came across him, or any like
this
good vibes, bad vibes?
No, good vibes, but it all came down to that haircut. But that was the 90s. So I was like, God damn, look at this man haircut. No, I liked him. I really did. And to your point, to have him in the second episode, I think Sliders does a good job at giving you an interesting science fiction show. Nothing under the sun is new, but you can pull from it. And you can see where even if the writers and the creators didn't intentionally infuse certain things, you can see where, this could be like this, this could be like this. That being said, being the second episode, technically the first, because when it aired, wasn't it just 1 and 2 were just one episode, or no?
That's a good question. Let me see No, they had them spread out over. Actually, no. Yeah. It says both were on the same day.
Okay,
so,
but
even
even still, like to that point, we know we have Rembrandt as part of the big four, but to have one thing I appreciate about the show is this is kind of sort of a villain of the week type show where we have a different thing. However, this, because of the concept of the show, this isn't Rita sending this monster that looks like a truck and then this monster that looks like a snake. Like these people, if you're accepting what the show is giving you, these people exist and have their own life before and after this. So to see this man in this position of power, in this like respected role in the 90s, though, I'm watching it from the future, but in the 90s, and have him be somebody who I could clearly be like, I like him. Let me be, if I was a little kid, let me be built like him. Let me have whatever authority that he has. Look at all these people looking to him for attention. And again, he's not part of the main cast, but with this show, those worlds continuing on, it leads me to wonder, okay, what does he look like? He was a big guy in charge, excuse me. And so I enjoyed him for every single time we got him on screen. Everything he did, even like him in the Wade stuff, I was still like, you know what? Hell yeah, let's do it. So I liked him. I was a fan.
He is definitely that. Strangely enough, this is the same weekend as like Captain America. So imagine him playing like Isaiah Bradley, like back in the day,
bruh.
Like Isaiah Bradley back during the 40s or whatever. So that was definitely the vibe that they were going with. And like you said, to the show's credit, that's one of those roles, and we've talked about this before, where anybody can play that role, right? And there was always this mentality that the person who has to be a leader of like a resistance or like a group of people who are like freedom fighters and heroes and all that, had to be like a straight white guy, you know. So it's just like, you know, that was cool. That was cool to see, and I liked his. Like you said, I loved his interactions with the sliders. We still want that conversation. The only thing I wanted him to do was like lose his ish on Quinn, but please, you know, for doing what Quinn did, but you know, it is what it is. Hopefully they won the war, you know, on their Soviet run world. So so number 2.
Wait, hold up before you go past there. Because it's not on your list, I want to address the hip hop. What is that?
Oh, okay.
What the fuck? Those?
Yeah.
We got them one other time, didn't we? In the library.
Yeah. So it was in. They appeared first in the pilot, the second part, and then Eggheads. So the hip hop group. Like now, I gotta find the. I really want to find the actors. Wow. I can't believe I forgot them. Yeah, no,
I did too, though. I did too until I rewatched Wilkins scenes. I was like, wait a minute, yes. What is it? What's the dudes from House Party? God dang it. The actual 50-year-old men who played high school students. What is their name? Damn it. Cole.
The rap group. Yeah.
God. That's what they gave me. I was like, yeah. I would have loved to have seen them in like every other episode, just being that being the variance of themselves. Them motherfuckers was wild.
They were a bit much, and I hate this. I can't even find them on the.
You probably won't. Were they even credited? Like they were. Man.
That's horrible if they weren't. That will be my homework later on. But yeah. We talked about them as being like they were supposed to be like a parody, you know, of like kind of like a. And it's funny because they make jokes about like Michael Jackson joining Public Enemy.
Yes.
In one of the episodes. So the writers have a sense of, I guess, rap or whatever, but in this case, it was like, it's weird because it's like parody bordering on something that you don't want to see as a black viewer. And I don't know, like, but it's just sometimes I went between laughing, but then also being like, okay, let's hurry this shit up, you know, when it came to them. So, maybe that's what they were supposed to be, but I can't believe it. Yeah, like that. They those 3 brothers were black.
Hey, they felt like, what's the saying? Black culture is popular, but black people aren't.
Yeah,
your point. Yeah. That's what they feel like. Because I may be mistaken, but if I'm remembering correctly, out of all those episodes, the most variation that we got when it came to musical representation was Rembrandt's crooning style music. Like whenever there was, I don't count the like hippies like beating on their drums because that wasn't presented as look at this type of music. I say this to say when it's like having those hip hop characters was more of like a really quick shorthand of like, look how different this world is. But you wouldn't do that with rock music, which again is black genre, but in the 90s is represented with white faces. You didn't do that with that. You didn't do it with country. You didn't do it with rock. You didn't do it with the Christian rock. I'm losing genres in the moment, but it was interesting how they were the really quick shorthand and be like, look at this, and it's black music, like explicitly black music. So that was something.
I mean, it's weird because you think of like when they go to these worlds, is this where rap has gone to? Like on these worlds, it's like, and I guess is what they were suggesting, but like in my mind, whatever world you go to, you know, rap is going to be a voice of like a music of dissent, and social and cultural awareness, you know, depending on the circumstances of that world. So it was weird. That's one of those things where if we were in the writer's room or anybody else, they probably wouldn't have made it, you know, into it. So, or we would have had that balance between like you have a country artist like doing that parody music or a pop music. They could have had their version of Cyndi Lauper, you know, or I was gonna say Blossom, but Blossom wasn't singing. Yeah. So, but so okay, so they're number 2. So the trio, the rap trio. We'll get their names hopefully next show. So after them, we have the Reverend from the episode Last Days, and he was played by Carlton Watson. So you give your thoughts about the Reverend.
So I liked him. My notes are I loved his disposition. He was one of those characters that felt like they could have been played by any race and like been fine. But I think he gave me, and it may just be a me thing, but he gave me I don't know if we mentioned this, but like a Martin Luther King-esque feel.
Yeah.
As someone who's not religious, I grew up in the Baptist church, so it's not lost on me, but I will say I think his depiction was very it was very kind. And it was, I think, in the midst of a oncoming apocalypse, he was very much the type of person who you would want. Like he made me feel like if I was like very religious, that is what I would want the depiction to be, because he was very wise, and not wise like you need to do X, Y, Z. It was like, what does this look like for you? Because his conversation with Rembrandt, and he was like, "You're not from here. You need to say you're not from here." I forget exactly what he said, but Rembrandt was like, "No, I gotta go out singing or something." He was like,
pump out the jams or something.
Yes, something exactly like that.
Pump out the jams.
Hey. He was like, "Nigga, we he didn't say that. But he was like, we here." He was very calming. He was very soothing, and he felt believable. Like I felt like, okay, this world is ending. These people fucking on this mansion on the hills, but this man is trying to save your soul. And it wasn't I never felt like it was a damnation thing. I never felt like his religion came second to his
decency, or just being a decent human being.
Yeah, and because even at the end with the white lady, when they were like, what were they passing out chickens or Bibles? What were they doing at the end of that? I was like, man. But I remember wanting more of him, of that world. I remember that. So yeah, I liked him. He was cool to me.
I think everything you said. In addition to that, I love this fact that he got those one-on-one scenes with Rembrandt. I think with outside of Maurice Fish and his Rembrandt too. I don't think we had any other scenes with him where it's just like him and another kind of black male or whatever. And in this, I like that. It was a serious moment, while the other ones might be played for laughs or just kind of a little bit of comedy. And like you said, he had that kind of calming vibe in the midst of like all this craziness. And one of the things that you would bring up in previous episodes was you were happy that with certain characters, with black characters, they didn't go the route of like stereotyping.
Yes.
And I like the fact that, like it wasn't hellfire and brimstone, like, brother, you about to die, like literally you about to die, that type of thing. And he was just there, just there. So that was one of my favorite episodes of the season. And I think that he was a large part of that. So shout out to the Reverend. I don't think they even gave him a last name, but like a name, but he was just a Reverend. So so after that, we have an episode I think we collectively didn't like, but this is where they put a lot of black characters in. Summer of Love, the episode where the Sliders go to a world that in the 1990s it still has the same culture and aesthetics of the 1970s, and the United States is in a Vietnam-esque war with Australia, of all places. So, that's the gist of it. Watch the episode, is goofy, but the character that we'll start off with as far as a black character, we have Sharon Brown, who is this world's wife. She's married to this world's Rembrandt, who you think is lost, in the war, or has been killed and is missing. She's played by Deborah Lacey. Because this ain't my favorite episode, this is one of those cases where I feel that they did good with the material they were given, which wasn't to me much, which for me wasn't much.
Yeah.
I think that she plays the role of a like a taskmaster, and in the household, and the suggestion is that this world's Rembrandt was quote unquote like henpecked and like just did just whatever. And I didn't like that depiction. I think this was like the first Black woman that we saw in this show as far as like the lead. And I didn't like the fact that like this is like the stereotype that you're bringing up, when it comes to this world's Rembrandt, and also how the tree, all this stuff. So it's just I don't know. It's just this weird thing where because of the lack of us in the writers' room, and then also the time constraints, it just seemed like you had this not the best depiction of the character that I felt that you could have had. Like I said, I think the sister was great as an actress.
Yeah.
She did good. And my favorite parts of an episode that I didn't like was when she tried to shoot Rembrandt for doing what he did.
Yeah.
I'll let y'all watch the episode, but I don't know. I don't think it wasn't like my favorite performance out of this list. Only because of how the character was written, but those are my 2 cents.
I feel the same. The only grace I can give that character is that maybe that you would maybe normally see that type of character being portrayed by a man. Like that's the most grace I can give it. Like this mean, rude, nasty, I don't know, hound who like works his family to death. Like that's the most grace I can give it. But as far as the acting, to your point, I think again, doing the best you can with what you got. I think she sold it. I'll say that. I think she sold that role really, really well. And that would probably be the extent, because I'll say this. I think she did a really good job acting, because having watched it for the first time, seeing her at the funeral versus waking up after what was it, maybe the next day, those are 2 totally different people. So I can say that twist that came, I was like, oh shit, no, hold up now. Yeah, it made me mad, but I was like, oh, y'all got me. So I will say that. So A+ on the acting, D- on the portrayal of that optics, y'all. Optics.
Yeah.
so yeah, I give her the acting. She did a good job.
Yeah, the other thing I think about is like I think we had even spoken about what if they had tried to go a more serious route with Rembrandt finding a place where his high school sweetheart was married to that world's Rembrandt, and they were dealing with the fact that his wife and his son are seriously dealing with the grief and the pain of losing a man that they loved, rather than being complete assholes to this guy. Like, and I was just like, you couldn't even give us like a serious kind of focus in that, and I think that would have worked a little bit better than what we got, which was like right on, that type of thing.
Is this not the world where the professor found his ex-love alive, or is that this?
No. That's the Egghead's world.
Because I'm like, you didn't get this evil, no good sack of curse words, but so yeah.
So that they could have done it differently. So the next character in this episode is Cezanne Brown, who is this Rembrandt's world's brother, and he is played by Oba Babatunde. Yeah, Oba Babatunde. I'll let you lead it off for this for this one.
Let me see. I wrote a few notes for this moment. I liked him. He was over the top, as they all were for this episode. Well, this show. I wish we saw more of him because I feel like he built out Rembrandt's lore in a way that Rembrandt never really did. The whole aesthetic, like it was just so wild. To me, he's right. If you put Rembrandt on one end of the spectrum and you put Maurice Fish on the other, he's like maybe right in the middle. I enjoyed him.
Yeah.
I with everything that happened with the high school sweetheart, I kind of wish we had have gotten him more than the wife high school sweetheart. His banter with Rembrandt was really fun, and I think this episode kind of primed us for The King is Back. Or at least like started kind of laying the seeds, the groundwork for it. I just wish there was more from him. I don't really have any. So my initial issue that I was going to have is like, oh, he didn't warn his brother about the wrath of his wife, but it's like, no, you are under the impression that he's dead, and you are under the impression that this is your brother who already knows how this woman is. So even my critiques about him, I don't really have them because he was like, are you sure that you he gave you enough to be like, oh, he knows what's going on. So there's really no notes with him. I just really like that character. And I just wish we had got him more like he's established your siblings don't always look like you, so we could have got him on another world. Like reuse this man, but whatever.
It's funny because they get selective of like who they bring in to play like doubles of themselves on the different worlds. My only, I guess, thoughts about him would be he, like every person in that funeral scene, was like this amped up version of like how I think these writers felt that Black people act during the 70s. And I know the argument that people could have for like that episode as a whole is that you have people portraying exaggerated versions of individuals or groups of individuals from that time. So you have the hippies who are like, peace is love, love is peace, capitalism, dead. They were like really over the top. You have the ultra right, radical people who are actually, no, they were on point. But they so they but that's everything was exaggerated for their ideas of like what, because I can tell you right now, my mom and my dad weren't walking around saying right on every 5 minutes, like, throwing up fight. They probably said it at a certain point, but it's not like, like kids walking around saying, I was about to say YOLO, but or like cringe, whatever they say, or so that ties into like the camp factor of the show. But when you limit the Black pit representation of the show to like 2 to 3 episodes, you don't give us Prominent Rose, it's like, this is what we got. It's just like, you got to balance it out. Give us just as many Roger Crosses as you have, not Roger Cross Wilkins, as you have Suzanne Brown. So it's got to be that balance, because otherwise we're looking at this episode and being like, okay, this is like this exaggerated over the top. So I'm kind of like on the fence when it comes to him. Also, especially because he wasn't in the episode as much. So that he played the role that they gave him pretty well, but it's just kind of like I don't know, like I can tell you now, like the next person we go to, I guess I wasn't happy with how they portrayed these Black folks in this episode. But so from the last Brown we're going to talk about is Rembrandt Brown Jr., who was played by Arthur Reggie III. It's funny because I remember this guy from a show on Nickelodeon called, I think it was My Brother and Me.
Oh yeah, okay, yeah, I remember.
So he was doing this thing as a kid actor, and I just once again, because they had him playing a son who just hated his dad, it just got old very quick for me. I don't know if like I felt that way before rewatching it this time, but I was just like, when he started choking that kid, it was just like, well, hey. But see, but that's the moment where Rembrandt was in the wrong, right? Because he had lied. Yeah, and so I don't know, but like the kid, I just remember that character being annoying, which to the kid's credit, he did really well with. So I don't have much. Like, I would love to sit back and say, like, Rembrandt went to a world where he met a potential son and they had a really nice conversation about being a black man in this world. No, we get an episode where throughout the episode, he's just like, you weak as fuck, Dad. I hate you. That type of shit. And it's just like, I don't. I understand the humor component, and I'm not saying everything had to be serious, but this ain't it. So Rembrandt, I didn't realize his name was even Rembrandt Brown Jr. before I read
because he was the fucking
but my 2 cents about him. That was it. What are your thoughts?
You said much of the same. I hated that kid. So good on him. Yeah, he did his job. I do think even within him hating his father, there were more interesting things you could have done with the kid. I don't know. And then I also, it's the 90s, but had there been just a slight mention of like, yeah, I'm Rembrandt, I want to be a singer, but eventually I want to retire and have a family. That way, like, even if we got the same exact episode, the evilness of the son and the wife would have hit even harder, because it's like, damn, he finally get one of the things he wants, but it's actually not what he, you know what I'm saying? Like, so I feel the same. Hated that kid, so that means he did his job. But that Afro wig was something, and then like just having him be I just, for all the screen time that the family had, there was much more that you could have done with it, even if they were still going to be evil people who hated him. Because I don't even think we ever got like she said, you chased me for years and I finally gave in or whatever. But did they ever say, oh, you were just a weak person, you've always been weak, I've hated you forever? Like, I don't remember if there was a specific reason why. Like, and then why not even make the brother be the actual singer? And the mom's like, man, son, be more like your uncle because your dad ain't shit. Like, there was no, it just felt like, fuck this nigga. Like, it was like, what? So I don't know, man. Screw that kid, but kudos, because he makes me want to say screw that kid.
Yeah. That should be the name of the world. Fuck this.
No, truly. Shit.
Yeah. So that's the Brown family from The Summer of Love. An episode that we collectively did not enjoy as much as the others. So from there, we have Luis, and I'm going to slaughter this last name, Auchincloss. Auchincloss, Lois Auchincloss, played by Lisa Huguet.
Lisa Huguet with Lucas Talent for the part of Louise. Please. That's a nice jacket.
Thank you.
I understand you're Wade's boyfriend.
Wade's great.
Wade's great. She's going to have a bright future here. You're a very lucky guy.
And that was in the weaker sex episode. What are your thoughts about?
I loved her. I thought she was cool. And I'm sure it's just looking back with all of the media history I have just in my brain. But when I saw that episode, I was thinking Boomerang the whole time, like the shoulders, the power suit. It with all the women, not even just with the black women, but just with the women in general. That's what came to mind. I really liked her, and I to give her more screen time, I actually would have maybe wanted her to switch places with the white woman who was Rembrandt's baby sugar mama, just to give her more screen time. But I liked her. I liked the way she talked. I liked the way she looked. Those finger waves I'm like, okay. This is, we don't get a lot of black women, but the hairstyles we ain't got all of them in a ponytail. I enjoyed her. I liked her demeanor. I thought she carried that role really well. I wish we had have gotten more of her. Overall, she just looked really good, and I want to say through her scenes, I was watching them, but I was also in my mind at the same time replacing her with a man, just to make sure, like, kind of not fact checking, but for lack of a better term, fact checking like everything she said. So she was talking, I was like, okay, no, she's a man, look just like her, and Quinn is a woman. Like, what does this look like? I wanted more from her in that world, but I really liked her.
Yeah,
I thought she was, and that was a beautiful woman. Like, if I'm gonna get, well, let me stop. But if, she's gonna, if somebody's gonna, that's, well, no, I'll just stop right there. She was a beautiful woman.
She it was funny because I think one of the things I remember calling her was like the Toni Braxton. And yeah, like you said, she has that 90s vibe, and beauty, like I said, beautiful woman, really good actress, and she's playing into that whole the roles are reversed as far as like the power of the scenarios or structures, or whatever you want to call it, of this world in terms of like the different sexes. And they had her lean into that a bit much, like especially like you said, when it came to Quinn. And you mentioning the fact of it would have been cool to have her switch roles with the sugar mama that linked up with Rembrandt. Yes. Because she actually had a personality.
Yes, God.
I just got a feeling like whoever that actress was with Rembrandt, that was like the producer's wife, and they said, "Hey, can you play this role?" And then she said no, and they said, "You got it." It just, I think that definitely she would have worked better in that role, and she in leaning into what the vibe of this world was supposed to be, at least with what they were, going for. So yeah, I like I said, I really enjoyed her, in that role. Like I said, the finger waves and all of that. Yes. That's one of those things that if we ever get, like, when we get those period pieces for like set in the 90s, that's the type of hairstyle that I want to see. Like,
yeah, absolutely. One of my, not concerns, but one of my like hopes for some sort of reboot, even if somebody just takes inspiration from this episode, would have been to see that woman off the clock, because Black folks, we historically have done a bit of code switching in certain spaces, and I would have loved to have seen, okay, when you take your blazer off, what does this translate to at the house? Are you a womanizing, quote unquote, for those of you listening to the podcast, a womanizing person, and what does that look like as a Black person in this world who's not in this corporate space where you have to look a certain way, male or female, trans or whatever? So I like her.
No, she was a good balancing to what they gave us in the Summer of Love, as far as with the writing, whatever the characters in the writing. So the next episode or characters that we have is Rembrandt Brown number 2. Rembrandt Brown number 2, played by the brother of Clement Derricks, Clinton Derricks Carroll, and in the King is Back episode. I'm gonna keep, because I know, like, he was one of your favorites. So I'll keep my I'll keep my thoughts like short. And just say, like, I enjoyed him for being that counterbalance to Rembrandt, or I'll just say Remy, and the fact that he is actually related, that they're brothers, I think that worked well. Within this world where Rembrandt got everything that he wanted. We already kind of theorized what a future, an alternate episode would have been like if they decided to go a different route. So, that maybe that would have affected his character a little bit. But the fact that in this world, and especially with the history that we have of like rock music and R&B and our music being stolen and co-opted and all of that. But the fact that in this world that he was a stand-in for a certain artist who did all of that was, I felt, pretty big, you know. And then definitely I know people will be like, well, it's just parody, you know, this is just, you know, the opposite. I was like, no, but like when you're somebody like us watching this, there's a significance to that.
It is.
And you know, so that I enjoyed Rembrandt Brown too. So I'll let you take it away.
One of the things that I loved about Rembrandt Brown 2 is the same thing that I love about Interview with the Vampire on AMC. Growing up with pop culture and media, you learn certain things, or you're able to infer certain things. I've watched X-Men for as long as I can remember. Yes, they've gone through changes, but if you put a mutant in front of me, I'm going to be attached to it just by nature of them being a mutant.
Yeah.
When Interview with the Vampire came on, I was familiar with the movies. I was familiar with Anne Rice. I was familiar with the fact that there were books. And I went into it enjoying it more, not just because it's a good show, but enjoying it more than I thought I would, because it's something I did not know about, as well as say like X-Men. Watching Rembrandt 2 pop up on screen, mind you, I'm grown. I am a fully grown adult. I am a grown man. But seeing him and then enjoying the episode and then it registering to me, oh, this is actually this man's twin. Like, I'm grown and I understand how media works, but for me to see the second Rembrandt and to, like, in my mind, the whole, like, however long until I realized what was happening, be like, okay, how did they do this? Was it a fat suit? Well, he's slimmer. Well, it had my mind working in ways that it normally doesn't, because I'm not a kid anymore seeing stuff for the first time. So I will admit there probably is a little bit of that in my bias of me liking the character, because as an adult, I don't get those moments often.
Yeah,
I can see something like, oh, this is cool, but I also can recognize, oh, this about to happen, this about to happen. That is more than likely why I really like him, outside of him doing a good job. And I always like to see anomalies like that. The last time this happened that I can recall was Black and Sexy TV. They have a show called what series was that? It was I cannot remember. If I can remember, I'll put it on screen or something. But there was a girl, this is the indie production, and randomly in like one of the seasons, she showed up twice. It was like, oh yeah, this is her twin. I was like, oh, mind blown, as if there's not twins in my own family. But that being said, all of that being said, this episode really did it for me, because I felt that the twin, he could really act. And it was essentially practical effects, because you have the same person. I hated him for what he did at the end. But that I enjoyed that depiction of a sort of colonizer-esque, colonizer adjacent, because it was still technically his,
right?
Like, you're cannibalizing yourself in a sense. That's why I wish back in the Summer of Love we would have actually gotten the brother having been the successful musician. But no, I enjoyed him. I think he did a really good job. And if he never shows up again, I think that was done well. I don't know, I'm going to end up rambling, but I like him. I want to see him again. I hope this man is still alive and thriving, but I love that man. He easily top 3 for me.
Nice. I to be honest with you, I can't even say, well, I don't want to spoil it. I don't know if he comes back.
I doubt he does. To be like, that wouldn't even be spoiled. It's the 90s. It's a one and done.
He said one and done.
Girl brother in here, and
he said we hit our quota for season 1.
Man,
they said we can't find more than 13 blacks in Vancouver,
which is crazy.
I mean, if they was in Toronto, right, that'd be all the black people, right? According to anyways, but Shout out Kendrick. As if he's watching this. So
he is.
Yeah, was it Kendrick and Jerry O'Connell?
Yes.
We put out the personal invite to come to appear on the show.
Imagine, like, what?
I mean, if we found out that Kendrick Lamar was a huge Sliders fan,
yes,
and just like watched all 5 seasons when he's on tour, and when he was like, if we started hearing him, that would have been great if he had like started dropping like Sliders bits in the song. And then like half the people, like no, not half, like 99% of the people like, who the fuck is Rembrandt?
Right. That's a black thing, right? No, I don't. Right?
You talking about the artist, right?
Oh man.
So the next one, also from The King Is Back, is I'm gonna switch the orders.
Okay.
So I can make sure so we can build up to a certain person. Judith Charmaine, and she was played by Judith Maxey. And I liked her. Okay. I enjoyed her. However brief her time was, she plays the ex-girlfriend or ex-wife of the antagonist or the nemesis for that episode, Maurice Fish, and strong black woman with a gun. I mean, that's about the most that I could say. And this is the second time that we've had somebody pulling a gun on a version of Rembrandt. Albeit in this case, he didn't deserve it. But I enjoyed her, for the time that she was there. I'm glad that because it adds to the variety of different characters that we get in this. And I enjoyed Charmaine, for the brief time she was there. So any thoughts from you?
I think I mentioned it during the episode, but I really liked her. Again, however brief, like you said, I liked that her role or her appearance expanded the lore really well. It wasn't like, remember that one guy? He was so crazy that day, and we went to the park. It was like, it felt real. It felt like, you
felt natural
in this woman's house. Like, get out. And so I do appreciate that about her. She was a good actress. Would have loved to have seen her again. But I think she did a phenomenal job at just giving us more background in a way that didn't feel like
an exposition.
Right, exactly. So kudos, shout out to her.
Like the guy earlier in the episode, hey, you guys are in town for the Crying Man convention, which happens every year. That type of shit.
We could have just used the news lady to do that. She pretty much did that. She did.
Repeated the same thing. And they had the same and did it better.
Man, I just shout out
did
to
it
her.
Better. These exposition drops. I'm gonna let you take the honors for the next one. We got Maurice Fish, played by Tom Pickett, also in The King Is Back. The antagonist, the Joker of this, the Cesar Romero Joker / Jack Nicholson of The King Is Back.
Pickett, reading for Ed Dunleavy.
Are you ready?
Who are you?
I could ask you the same thing.
Ed Dunleavy. I'm Serena's boyfriend. What are you doing with my bathrobe on?
Boyfriend? She didn't tell me she had a boyfriend.
I bet there's a lot she didn't tell you.
So
that's my boy. That's top 3, and he ain't 2 or 3. That's my fave. That Maurice Fish. He can have whatever he wants. That he was over the top. He was campy, and he was campy in a way where, like, if you look back on the black folks in Summer of Love, I feel like they were in, like, I'm talking about that first funeral scene. Like, they were supposed to be kind of over the top. Like, I think you were supposed to read them as campy, but it didn't feel like it was campy in a way that was respectful to the show. It just felt like the other parts of the episode were kind of serious, and then you got this, whereas Maurice felt like, if you're familiar with Batman, are you familiar with over the top? Like, there was no, even though the other parts of the episode were pretty serious. Him being like, "Oh no, nigga, you gotta die." It never felt it never felt like it wasn't respectful. I don't even know if that's the right word. It felt like he did it with intention and purpose.
Yeah.
And it made sense. I would even venture to think that the director was like, yeah, do this. And he was like, oh, you want a 5 and put it to a 10. That motherfucker was crazy. And he was like, if this is the only episode I'm going to be in, you're going to remember me.
Yep.
And that happened. I think I would also ask my fondness for him is stuff like the Proud Family. The uncle, what's his name? The dad's brother. I can't remember right now, but Penny's uncle. That's him. Little Richard, that's him. Joker, that's him. Like, and to get somebody to, I don't want to say ahead of their time, because Batman has existed like forever, but we get this black, wild, over the, and I'll say this: there is definitely an element of like mental illness there, but it's also the 90s, so the care isn't given. Like now, but that being said, that may be one of those problematic things that like it's like, oh, this is fine. Like, what's the song? Is it Gypsy Woman where she was talking about being homeless and everybody in the club throwing ass? It's like, damn, I can't remember the tune, but you know what I'm talking about. And then she's homeless. Yes, that. You got people just.
But it was like we was really vibing to homelessness. It was just like, wow. It just different time, kids. It was weird.
Oh, that motherfucker crazy. He also reminded me of Passions, a soap opera that made no sense, but I grew up on. I was there watching it from the first episode, and he just was like studio, not shot live, just in the studio, just being fucking wild with a gun and a dream and a contract. Like he was just. So I'll stop there. I love Maurice Fish.
Maurice is he's an MVP. He's probably one of my favorite characters out of the whole series, to be honest with you. These 5 seasons. He's camp personified. He's an actor, like you said. He went in there and just put it on 10. Like when he starts singing, and in my mind, like the script just said, "We want you to sing this song," right? And then he said, "Oh, okay." And he sings, and there's like these breaks where he's dancing, he's singing, and then he stops and he's dancing, and it's just like this brother was like, "I'm earning my paycheck today." And the one of the things that we do like, even though like we are sometimes critical of it, is like the camp factor for the series as a whole. This is like this thing of like, if they do a reboot, should they have that humor in there? I don't think so. I think you definitely need to have that. It should be like an MCU type of humor, not the James Gunn Guardians of the Galaxy, because that balances it up. But like, something like Winter Soldier, where you have a joke like every couple of scenes, right? Not like this. I like keep this as is. Like this is a product of its time. Like this is some Xena type of shit. Like Xena would be like slitting throats, and then they would be like, then they would have the hokey music, and she's just whooping ass and like and I hate to say this, she got crucified one episode. That shit was wild, folks.
Like what?
Yeah, like that. If you want to see some crazy ass sci-fi like fantasy of that era,
oh god,
Xena went full force into it and it worked. But anyway, so the camp in this works, and I think he is very representative of that. He is also representative of something that I always want to see in antagonists. Like I love black antagonists. I love black villains. You got to just write us well. And in this case, we got somebody who was like a Cesar Romero, type of, like I said, type of vibe. And I love that. I think there was something that you mentioned also. We don't know if this dude is queer or not, right?
Yeah.
So
right.
There's that to it also. And it's just like there are these various layers that I don't think when they were writing this, that they were looking at it from the angle that we are looking at it from. But the brother, he was just like, I'm putting little Richard into this. I'm putting my crazy drunk ass uncle that probably, you know, did some dancing for the 4 tops or the 6 tops or some bullshit. And just whatever, and with a hint of mental illness, which is not handled properly.
At all.
Rembrandt too was just like, oh, I had his ass locked up. I was like, oh shit, that's crazy. That's the type of shit they used to do back in the early 1900s. So it just he just worked, and I know like we're talking this dude up a lot, and I know like there are people who are gonna watch this like this dude ain't he is everything. This ain't me like telling you, sitting back and saying, man, that performance was great, and then you go and say this bullshit. Now this one, he shout out to Tom Pickett. I don't know what else he's done since then, but this was key.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. God.
So the next one we have is we go from the camp and the comedy to like one of the more darker episodes.
God damn it, bro. Yeah.
Maybe I should have done these in this order. Yeah, that's a hell of a transition.
Okay.
From camp to assisted suicide. So sorry.
let me write that down.
Julianne Murphy. And no, I'm not joking about assisted suicide. So let me put that disclaimer, because somebody will hear, they'll see like me not immediately follow that up. No, but like just the transition in the episode tones. Julianne Murphy, played by Alex Datcher in Luck of the Draw, and I mean, shoot, that's how they did the episodes. They did one of the darker episodes right after one of the goofier ones. So that ain't on me. Now that I think about it,
I was like, hold up. Oh shit.
That was like, there was no buffer episode between one of the lightest episodes to one of the darker ones. So no, everybody hold your comments. That wasn't on me. So Julianne, she's one of my favorite characters in a very tragic way. The episode deals with the Sliders going to a world where this lottery world is doing this form of population control in like the most effed up way possible, you know, and I probably definitely spoiled it, but it's worth watching the episode, because this is one of those episodes where they deal with like issues of morality, you know, social cultural awareness. This is like sci-fi hitting well on a variety of fronts. So one of the characters in this that they come across is a lady named Julianne Murphy, and Rembrandt falls in love with her. Now, you know, we got a discussion about the rate at which he falls in love with her, but he at least wants to pursue a relationship with her. And the reason, and this kind of ties into Maurice Fish, is that, you know, I like it when you have a kind of a spectrum of blackness, and because we're not all the same. Now there's a lot of stuff that we have in common, because all the BS that we've been through, but I do like the fact that we allow this character, this woman, to kind of be and I hate to put it like this, a product of the world in which she's brought up in. So when she makes the decisions that she makes, it's like not so far off if you kind of look at it from that perspective. It's a tragic, you know, decision that she makes, but it's like goes back to that conversation that we see in the same Luck of the Draw, where the professor and Quinn are talking about the rightness or whatever of, you know, should this be something that happens, and she's like a huge example of that. So in my alternate episode, you know, things went differently with her. I feel that she would have been a strong character, you know, to kind of move forward with for a variety of reasons. But her performance in this episode, I feel, is really, really, really good. Like for me, she's right up there with Maurice Fish, you know. and I just enjoyed her. You know, I enjoyed her for being our look into what a world like this would do to a person. Yeah, so that for all those reasons, like I said, I enjoyed her performance. And that's I guess my 2 cents about it.
Yeah. I agree. I like her. Now I will say I was frustrated with her.
Mm-hmm.
That's my 2024, 2025 mind, and oh, I would do this and do that. But honestly, when you sit back and see what's going on, when you like fully accept the world that they're in, to your point, I think that route she took was just as legitimate as playing basketball to get out of the hood, as going to college to get a degree so that you can be the first to graduate in your family and get a good job. Like, so I think I liked her. She was a very, very like you said, tragic character, but I think she played it well. And another part for me is that she kind of reminded me of Eartha Kitt. And so I was like, oh, I like this.
Yeah.
I like her for that. I don't know if that was intentional. I would imagine there's something there, but I liked her, and I did like much like I like Insecure. So the reason I liked her is the same reason I like the character Dro and Molly's relationship Insecure.
Yeah.
They are in a relationship where he's married, and it's not like, oh, infidelity is cool, but what I'm saying is they brought to light a very real thing, which is a non-traditional type of relationship where this man has a open marriage. I think even that part may have been left a little gray for the audience, but I bring that up to say that a lot of the stuff that we might see a lot of times historically or traditionally as Black people, like, oh, that's some white people shit. And so seeing that on Insecure, a more contemporary show, and then also seeing Julianne with the choice to go through with the suicide is again something that's like you probably would have in the 90s been like, oh, that's some white people shit. And it's like, well, everyone has the aspirations to be better and leave something for their family, and then taking it to real world. Everyone wants to do better than before, or even if you're going to be in the quote unquote drug game or street game, you want to be the best at what you are. So yeah, it could be some white people shit, but there's also an aspect that's just like, no, this was an opportunity presented to her. So I like her for the same reasons I like Dro and Molly's relationship in Insecure. It showed light on something that maybe culturally isn't discussed or accepted or looked at as something that we deal with and go through. And outside of the show, there are people who were looking for that. We even mentioned Dr. Kevorkian was, running through the city back in the day during this time. So that is something to consider. So I liked her for the heaviness that the light that she brought to the heaviness that was her circumstance in that episode. Because my God, even to watch her on the way out, that woman was acting. She was like, to the end, be you like it or not, you can't deny she was acting her ass. So yeah. Oh,
they're it's and shout out to the Insecure reference. I miss that show so much. That the Molly and Issa's argument at the it seems like it popped up on like Netflix be running those clips because they like we're gonna get our money's worth out of these HBO episodes. Good show to everybody if they haven't seen it. So the last and not least, because he was in all 9, 10, however many episodes you want to say, 40. 40 according to Peacock. Was Rembrandt Crying Man Brown, aka Remy, played by Clavant Derricks, who we learned his what do you call it, the prologue to his story was in Thea, right?
Yes, God.
Playing the piano, man. That show, you want to talk about deep cut,
man.
because I remember like I had seen him. I remember watching Thea, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then I didn't put two and two together until after, like years after watching Sliders. Like this is the same brother.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, Rembrandt. Rembrandt is a part of the Fab Four as far as like his, his background. He is accidentally he's sucked into the portal that's takes them to each world when Quinn's experiment goes the wrong way, and his background is as a member of a R&B group. Apparently the R&B group was successful and he became a failed singer when he decided to leave. And the brother was on his way to a pretty big gig, and then we get 9 episodes of him rolling around with these people that he don't know. So you want to go first?
It's whatever. Look, hey.
I won't like make this long and drawn out. Rembrandt, I feel just like there, and we could do an entire episode on unsung Black heroes of 90s sci-fi. He, I feel, is one of those unsung heroes, especially with where his character goes in future seasons.
Okay.
Like, I'm very interested for you to watch his progression. This first season, I think, is a decent introduction, depending on which episode it is. There are times where I do feel the brother is sidelined, like in the episode, which one was it? The Prince of Wales, where he is literally being chastised about his revolutionariness by a Caucasian woman. And he and then in Fever, where they just send him out to go and
catch a cab. Where's our car?
So he's either sidelined, kind of, a part of the team dynamic, but then you get episodes where he is front and center, like in it literally like the last 2 episodes.
Yeah, it
seems like more so, well, at least what we want him to be, but the king is back, and then Luck of the Draw, where you get a chance to kind of give him some more complexity as compared to other episodes. So as I don't think that he suffers as much as some of the other characters that we mentioned on here, like primarily the characters in the one episode, the Summer of Love episode.
God, I hate that shit.
Yeah, they were like, let's just lump this poorly written Black folks into this one. But I do think that they could have done better, because we've suggested like alternate storylines, which I don't think would have messed with the larger stories that they're telling. And it would have given him some kind of more scenery to chew on, which I feel comes in later seasons. Okay. So I feel that this first season was a good introduction to him, but I always feel that, and this is always, I always say this, it was like more of the writing rather than his performance. He worked with what he had. But I felt that this brother is talented enough that he could have done better, or that they could have had him kind of, grasp onto things that are a bit more meatier. So I like him in the first season, but I just wanted more, and I've said this, time and time again, rewatching this with another person who has not seen the series before, it kind of helps to kind of give us more of a nuanced look or idea. I mean, like a nuanced look into Rembrandt as a whole, so that's kind of where I'm at, when it comes to the first season. So I feel that if you give it a scale, because everybody loves scales, like 1 to 10, as far as like where I feel his character is, I think he's at a 7. Okay. Where I feel that he's close to being like this epic character, but they needed one. I always feel they needed one of us in the writer's room, like Black man, Black woman, whatever. But that's kind of, I'm kind of middle of the road when it comes to him in his first season. But what about you? What are your thoughts?
Rembrandt sucks. No, okay. I liked him. I liked him a lot. He was annoying at times, but I think looking back on it, hindsight is 2020, and I can even appreciate the times where it was like, nigga, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
And I say that because I think Black folks, especially in the 90s, when being depicted, you had very clear roles that we fit in. You know, you'd be the angry Black woman, the welfare queen, the gangbanger, the deadbeat dad, and even the like magical Negro, or the like sassy Black best friend, or the just that token Black guy. So we had certain roles, and that still is today, but we have better representation. I think that it's okay to be annoying. Like, it's okay. He can be irritating. I still stand by everything I've said in the episodes where I was like, well, this motherfucker getting on my nerves. I still stand by that, but I do, looking back on it, appreciate that he's an older Black man with a particular look, because I did mention jokingly with Wilkes, like, oh, this nigga haircut, but like Rembrandt has a very Black hairstyle of a certain era. That man ain't got no fade. He ain't got no Caesar. They got some uncle hair. That's uncle hair. That's I'm standing over the barbecue in them Jesus sandals hair. And so, I can appreciate that he didn't look like a Morris Chestnut or a Shamar Moore, like of that era. And he was a Black man of a certain age. I mean, he wasn't 70, but you know, he compared to Quinn and Wade, who are the only ones that matter because fuck the professor, he aesthetically was very different from them. I think overall I enjoyed his run in the first season. I wish there was better for him, but I'm also like, okay, you're here though. You're here. You're in here, you're front and center, you're always in this show, and I have to hope that things will get better for him. And if they don't, that they don't get better for everyone else instead of him. Like, if everybody fucked up, sure, like we all going through this together. But if everybody's getting like their dreams and good shit happening every now and then, we've already taken away his childhood crush, even though that was a different woman. That was the girl he was in love with as a kid. And we took away his family. We took away his, I don't want to say brother, but brother, his other version of himself. And they weren't treating him well. We got the professor like 40 times being able to play someone else in this damn show.
Yeah.
We didn't get that for Rembrandt. So fuck the professor. I really enjoyed him. And I thought, again, going back to the 90s, that man looks like a Black man. He got a big old Black man nose. He got Black man lips. He's a dark skinned man. And I just can appreciate him existing in general. Like, he was there. And this is something that I would fear would be like whitewashed or bleached out a bit, where the Rembrandt, depending on who did a reboot, would be like, I don't know, what's Cuba Gooding Jr.'s son, Mason Gooding, who was in Scream, the boy twin, like that would be Rembrandt. I'm like, bro,
wait,
paperback test.
In the last Scream?
Yeah, that very light skinned boy.
Oh shit, I didn't know that was Cuba Gooding's son.
Yeah, it's his son, or it's like his nephew. I think that's his son. I don't know, whatever. Y'all correct me, but I'm sure that's Mason Gooding. I think that's his son. But that boy is a wallpaper color.
You know who I would want, like, it's, and with you kind of going through, you mentioned what you said, like somebody like Coleman Domingo.
Ooh.
You know,
now that man got some chop, and you know what? His range. First of all, I know he's a good actor. I like him anyways, but his range in the roles that he's taken, just looking at like Euphoria, the character he played there, and then Color Purple. Like, those are two totally different people. I think he would actually kill it as a Rembrandt.
And he has the background on TV, you know. It's not just, I mean, I know he's getting like Sing Sing is his most recent big time movie. And he's gonna play Joe Jackson. Which is gonna be, like he I like that point as far as, like you said, the fact that they cast him in that role. I even remember on some of the press pictures and the marketing or whatever, they had him holding a saxophone for some reason.
What?
Like he doesn't even play this. He doesn't even play it. Like, he's holding the saxophone And he's standing in front of like what I think is supposed to be a portal behind him. So in my mind, it was like, was this brother just jumping with a saxophone from like world to world? But
them Negroes and their music,
like you said, is that I like that. Like he just looked like a middle-aged black man who was just caught up in this craziness. Yeah, that's a really good point. But yeah, like I said, I love the character. He is one of my favorites when it comes to just black sci-fi, period. And I wish that when everybody's putting together these lists of like black sci-fi and like Blade is at the top and then Uhura is next, and like rightly so, they were like the reversed. It's like we always go for the folks that are like recognizable or whatever.
Yeah.
But there's so many, and I keep saying the sci-fi shows that come out of Canada where like we are represented that like the syndicated stuff or the stuff that you might see on Sci-Fi. He's at the top of that list for me. He's at the top of that list.
I would agree. He's just a regular dude who's like, I'm stuck with you motherfuckers. Let's make the and he never feels bitter. He always feels like, and I know this ain't White History Month, but like I like him and Wade. I want to see more of them. They're so good. They're so good together. But yeah, I love me some Rembrandt, and I'm very excited to see what comes of season 2 with him. Like, yeah, I appreciate him more, even with the critiques I initially had. I'm probably going to easily put him as top 2, 3, anything really when it comes to black characters in media, and especially in the 90s, because and as a token character, so to speak, where there aren't many of him, that he still doesn't feel like, I don't know. I want to make this extremely long, but I like him. I think he's doing a really good job. So.
Yeah, they're it's what I think of like for the 90s. It's him, Jada Pinkett Smith's character from that Tales from the Crypt movie, Demon Knight, and then Mr. Trick from Buffy. I don't know what else that brother did, but him and Buffy, like he exuded charisma on that show. And all us like little black boys and little black girls, we were just like, we want to see more of this. And then everybody's like, you take what you can get. It's like, whatever. So
Negroes.
So yeah, that's our contribution to Black History Month.
Yes.
this list of black characters. And I do think that if there's a reboot, we'll have more representation. You know, that's one of those things that I'm hoping for. You know, one of those shows, and hopefully we'll get it. You know, these streaming networks seem to be spending a lot of money on these TV shows. I had a friend, the G20 movie with the trailer, I'll make this short. He said, man, why isn't this coming out in theaters? And I was like, I understand that, but I also do want to justify why I'm paying for these subscriptions. So if I'm paying this money for like these streaming subscriptions, give me a sliders, right? Yeah. Give me that IP that I actually want to see.
Absolutely. No, I agree. Oof.
But yeah, Coleman Domingo is Rembrandt. We're gonna start that hashtag.
That's wild, and I would love to see that.
Courtney Vance.
Honestly, another good, and he's right up there in age. Like I think he would kill it too.
Who?
Courtney B. Vance.
Courtney B. Vance. Yeah.
I think he would kill it too. He would definitely. And I was just thinking like, when you said Coleman, I'm like, no, we got to find a way to work in Angela Bassett. If she got to be Juliet, like I want to see them play off each other. But shoot, damn, that would be
just make her Wade, and then upset a certain demographic from this.
Honestly, that's fine with me. Yeah, that's oh my god, this is a really good show, and I feel like motherfuckers need to take advantage of watching it while they can, because these streaming services do whatever the hell they want.
Pulling stuff off.
Like, get on it and buy the DVD if you can, because this is it.
Yeah, definitely worth checking out.
Mm-hmm. Golly, I don't know. Happy Black History Month, y'all. Happy Black Future Month. Happy Black Afrofuturism Month. Like, give me all the months. Speculative Blackness Month. Happy all that good shit.
Black comic book characters.
Yes.
Everything.
Golly. Oh man, so I don't know what's we got some more. Are we
I mean, outside of a lengthy discussion about the rappers, who I can't even find on the cast list. Shoot, man, we should get one of them on.
Look, honestly,
to be honest with you, we could probably get any of these actors on. Like,
I hope the hell so.
Like, I know Clevant Derricks has done. He's done interviews. I think any of the brothers or the sisters or any of the actors from this, if we could find the rappers, that would actually be
phenomenal.
It would be amazing.
I would call off work that whole week. I just have to get mentally prepared. All right, because them brothers did what they needed to do with what they had. Bruh, remind me, what is it? Brown Sugar. What is the white
guy?
The Dalmatians? Is that what
that
was?
Yeah, the white guy, black guy. Yeah,
that's what it reminded me.
I'm trying to remember the song, and that's like my favorite. Like, that's one of my favorite.
Hoe Is Mine.
Comedies. Yeah, yep. Never mind.
That's such a good lord. Y'all watch Brown Sugar too. It's in the Sliders universe. I'm sure it is.
Yeah. Nia Long pops up like in one episode, like, which was what is crazy. Back to the Black Sci-Fi part of it. I was telling my wife that in this era, she is married to I'm having a brain freeze. Dwayne Wade.
Okay.
Gabrielle Union. Gabrielle Union, it plays a Cleon in an episode of Star Trek Deep Space Nine. Yep. So that's Black Sci-Fi, y'all. Like,
that is, because I don't have any memory of that. I have no memory of
face fringes and the teeth and everything. Yeah, she was in one episode. Yeah,
that is a Negro race. Oh man, we might have to
deep cut. Like I said, I could put together a list. It would be fun. So
my God. Oh well, listeners, hell, y'all let us know what your thoughts are. Do you remember these black folks from this season? If not, you got some splaining to do, and you got a couple weeks to go ahead and watch and get caught up before season 2. I don't know, man. That's all. That's really all I got. Shit.
The same thing for me. Happy Black History Month. In the face of them trying to shut down and erase our history, this is definitely the time to get more into it, and including creative, things like this. Look for Black Sci-Fi, look for Afrofuturism, look for Black LGBTQ+, related speculative fiction works. It's all out there, and it speaks to who we are, and then just study the history. So, that's even though we have fun with this, it is good to highlight the fact that we exist, just period.
Good Lord, you are not wrong. So yeah, even if you ain't into this, I hope that this sparks a conversation that gets you looking into other things. You might not like Kendrick's performance, but it should have you looking into, well, what does this mean? You might not like that Beyonce's doing this country album, but also, okay, what other black country artists are like? Take the shit that you might not like and find something in it that can get you a little bit more education, propel you forward, find some stuff that you do like, because you don't have to like it because it's black, but you need to be familiar with what's black. So this has been fun. This has been real. This whole series has been fun, and I hope you motherfuckers listening and watching been having a good ass time too. This has been Stumbling Through the Multiverse podcast, our Black History Extravaganza.
Extravaganza. I love that. I keep looking at the title and I'm like, that's amazing. That's amazing.
Oh man, this has been something. So y'all, have a good one. Enjoy the History Month. Enjoy the rest of the year or the next couple weeks till season 2 drops. And stay carefree, stay nerdy, stay geeky. And if you have a chance to look at black characters and people in sci-fi, start here and then suggest it to your friends. Let them get the deep dive history and shit too. So yeah, bye y'all.
What if you could slide into 1,000 different worlds?
where it's the same year and you're the same person, but everything else is different? And what if you can't find your way home?